On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing home seller trends, Fannie Mae's consumer sentiment report for the month of September, and current mortgage application data. Today is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. I'm Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Welcome into the Hot Sheet. Let me know in the live chat which market you are tuning in from. I am currently live from my Connecticut studio. Thankful and lucky to be up here thinking about everybody on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Tom Toole, thank you for filling in for me yesterday in the Hot Sheet as I basically escaped at the last minute with myself and my family to get up here to Connecticut. Very lucky to be here. I know so many right now that are in the path are not as lucky, thinking about you, thinking about all of that beautiful real estate along the Gulf Coast as well. Not just my house, but everybody's house as this thing comes barreling in, and it's just horrible. It's horrible to see. So hope everybody that's down there is got their plan in place and ready to do whatever it takes to get through that. All right, we've got a hot sheet here filled with a bunch of data points that I'm about to jump into. But first, stay till the end of this hot sheet, especially for those of you that are BAMX members. We have that major announcement with Zoodealio that I am going to announce before the end of this show. All BAMX members getting something very unique here starting today. So that announcement is ready. So excited to share that with all of you guys. All right, now let's jump into this Zillow report on sellers consumer housing trend report from 2024. This was released last week. I was at Zillow Unlock, and there's a ton of data in this. So I want to break it down, best we can. Everybody here is looking for more of sellers, more listings. We have seen listing data increase subtly here the last few weeks, even at a time of year when you would expect new listings to start to decrease. We've seen increases, meaning year over year increases. Again, last year coming at the very bottom of new listings. So it's not anything to be that excited about, but it is moving in the right direction. How much of that do we get over the next 4 weeks as we're now closer and closer to the election here? For the first time, I've really seen an abundance of agents the last week, 2 weeks say they're hearing more election pauses than when we were really talking about it 2 months ago. 2 months ago, there wasn't as much of it as there is right now. So something to keep in mind. You got to talk to a lot of sellers. You got to stack up a lot of future listing opportunities as an agent right now and attack the data. Where are the spots that you can attack to get more listings? Currently, right now, the median age of a U.S. seller is about 47 years old. 13% are under the age of 30. That might surprise some that number is that big. If you have a younger, community, a younger median age in your community, rather, hey, 13% under the age of 30 is a decent chunk. That might be something to pay attention to. Why are the under 30 selling? Are they already looking for that move up house? Or are they trying to be a little bit more mobile and they want to free up that cash? Okay, 23% are in the age of 30 to 39. The largest grouping, again, that 47 age is the median, but the largest grouping is 40 to 49, where you have 25% of sellers falling into that category. Interestingly, 60 and up is only 25% in total. 60 to 69 is only 13% of sellers. 70 and up is 12%. So less likely to move right now is 60 and up. So the boomers who have real estate, less likely to move in this environment than some of the other sellers, okay? Some of the other generations. If you look at just generation specific as opposed to age, Gen Z is making up 13% of sellers. Millennials is 32%. So millennials and Gen X at 62% combined versus a 22% of sellers are from the boomer generation. So that probably is where you want to attack. How do you, if you're an agent, how do you create those relationships? Okay. Who are the other doctors, the dentists, the attorneys, those, people that talk to everyday people in your community, the school system, all those, that's like kind of right in that mix of the families that are in your community. How do you become more relevant inside of those circles if you're somebody who's looking for more listings, if you're looking to work with more sellers from an advisory perspective, or certainly from an agent perspective where you're getting listings onto the market? Okay. If we look at the regions, the largest share of sellers right now live in the South. 40% of sellers live in the South. Now we've seen inventory, tick up in the South, like especially Florida, Texas. Florida inventory is going to be, we'll see how that shakes out after Milton here. What's going to happen with inventory, as it seems that many along the Gulf Coast might get displaced. Do you see now that abundance of inventory that's built up on the Gulf come down as people look, hey, can I grab a rental? Can I grab a rental? Will that inventory come down? A lot of homes are going to have damage. So, if they were on the market, they obviously come off the market. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with inventory, which has been really rapidly increasing in most of the Florida Gulf Coast markets. What shakes out over the next, 30, 60, 90 days post Milton. But when you look at the South versus, the Northeast, for example, you definitely have, a much healthier environment as it relates to inventory. South is 40% of all sellers, and the West is at 22%. Midwest is at 23%. If you're operating in the Northeast, that's only 15% of sellers across the country. So you have a smaller pool. Doesn't mean that next year, 2025, post-election, post-Thanksgiving, post-December holidays, that there's not going to be, depending on where the economy is, an increase in inventory. Most other markets have seen, a healthier move towards more inventory. Northeast hasn't seen it yet. Don't, work your database the next 90 days just saying, I'm going to ignore that sector. You have to attack it, okay? No matter where you are, you have to attack that over the next 90 days, because your January, February, and March, are going to be dependent on what data you're sharing with people who are on the sidelines, okay? If they're on the sidelines and it's like, hey, I agree with you, just not a great time to sell right now, all you're doing is presenting the problem that for them, they've already validated in their mind. So instead of the problem, what data can you share with them to keep them educated so that they know the right time to attack their particular market? Okay. If it's a buy side perspective, I think, and almost anywhere across the country, I'd be attacking on the buy side over these next 90, 120 days versus the following 9 months after that. You look on any 12-month cycle, and we've talked about this, there is an opportunity now for a buyer. If you're going to buy in the next 12 months, you should be very aggressive in the next 3 to 4 months. And that might be something you want to lead some content with, some information, going out to your database. Education, Zillow broke this down. It's really just even across the board. There's no, 4-year degree required for home ownership, thankfully, or I'd be screwed. High school diploma, 24% of sellers. Some college, 28%. 4-year college degree, 28%. Postgraduate, 20%. So it doesn't matter. Listen, if you're running in some circles of, country club type people, very wealthy people, whatever the case may be, you find that there is a mixture in every circle. Like, wow, there's a whole bunch of people in these circles that didn't go to college. Okay. And so that's going to be across the board, I think, on every income level, as well as whether you're a seller or buyer or whatever the case may be. Typical home right now, the seller sold a 3-bed, 2.5-bath home, single family detached house between 2,000 and 2,500 square feet. That's been the typical home. So that kind of makes sense when you average everything down. This one here really interesting. I think this is a data point that I would pull out and I'd bring to all of my buyers who are waiting for price to come down. Okay. I would probably couple this with the chart that I've shown so many times. I'll show it here in a second. That shows what happens to home prices on a decade basis. Okay, this is the average years before selling a home that a seller is in the home, living in their home before selling. Okay, we're running at 12 years right now. And if we look over the last 5 years, it's been over 12 years for the majority of it. So that being said, as you talk to your clients who are thinking about buying, okay, as you start to educate them on the market, first thing I think to get settled out is, how long do you plan on being in this home? By the way, how long do you plan on being in this community? Because if you're within a 30-minute radius and this home isn't the one for you in 5 years, but you want to stay, you're going to stay in the community, how advantageous would it be for you to have another stream of income? At that point in 5 years, if you rented the current home, you would have, 5 years of paying down a, fixed debt, which is a unique opportunity in and of itself in America. And so how long are you going to be here? That's another important question to ask your prospective buyers, to start educating them on what, how they're going to think about, should they buy a house right now? Nobody wants to buy a house that they think is too expensive, the top of the market, whatever the case may be. And so you can go side by side with those two pieces of data. People live in their house over 10 years. Okay. And if you're planning on living in this house and in this community for over 10 years, like most people do X. Remember, most people want to be like most people. Guess what? I can't tell you what prices are going, but I can tell you the last 4 decades, home values went up 30 or 40 or more percent every single decade. That includes the 2000s, when we had the great financial crisis and the mortgage crash. Wait a minute. That includes the 2000s? Yeah. In fact, the 2000s are the most homes went up in a given decade. So for those that bought in 2000, but decided to wait at least the typical 10 years, they were still up 48% on their home. Okay. 48%. If they waited another closer to the 12, 15 years, they were up even more. Okay. Obviously, there's market dependency on this stuff, but this is just an overall eye opener for buyer clients, where it's like, wow, home values always go up. You're not predicting it. And you would always say, I don't have a crystal ball what's going to happen in the next 10 years. I know for the last 40 people have owned the home for 10 years or more. They overwhelmingly win with large appreciation on their home. Okay, there's a reason you can every single year say the homeowner is much more wealthy than the renter, 75 times X. There's a reason that stat never changes. Okay, it's because those numbers right there that we're looking at. Okay, if we're looking at years, okay, the percent of homes sold before 1939 is only 5%. 80 to 99 is 26%. 2000 to 2019 is 37%. 2020 or later is 9%. 60 to 79, 17%. 40 to 59, 7%. So those older homes, not, they're not selling as much of those older homes. Now, what's interesting is 24-14, that's 28, that 38, 49%. 49% of occupied U.S. homes are 1979 or earlier. 49%, almost half, are 79 or earlier. Yet only 29% of those homes are selling. Okay, so now, hey, what do I want? What's more likely to sell? Is it the older home where maybe that older generation, now we can match up some of this data. Is it the older home that someone, maybe that older generation is not moving out of? Maybe I'm using a tool like PropStream. We can throw our link in for PropStream if you're interested in that, to identify some of those older homes, right? And say, maybe I'm going to focus on calling 1980 and later when I'm looking to create relationships with sellers, because 1980 and later, that's where all of the sold homes are happening. 71% of the sold homes are 1980 and later. Okay. And now the older homes, of course, also, it's not just that there's far few of them that are actually going onto the market and selling. There's a higher likelihood of having some type of, inspection or, other issue with that particular home. So, very interesting. Share of buy falls is still share that buy falls still the majority of sellers. Okay, so that's a record low share of sellers also buy a home. Okay, so right now, with where we're at 3.8 million existing home sales, one of the lowest numbers we've seen, it's only half of sellers, 54% record low, that sell and buy. Okay. It was 70% last year, 71% in 22. Only 54% of share of sellers also purchased the home. Now, that being said, when I say only 54%, that means 1 out of 2 listings that you're working, 1 out of 2 sellers, seller clients that you have are also buying a home. Okay. So there's still a lot of the buy sell opportunities there, but that number is lower. We expect that number based on history to go up as this interest rate comes down, and that lock-in effect will thaw out. Move to a home that they already own. That's the most common for sellers that did not buy. Okay. Move to a home that they already own. That might be another data point that should be interesting if you're looking for listings. Why aren't you creating those relationships or communicating or sending out data or making calls to those that own multiple homes? They're more likely to be a seller because they have somewhere to move. Okay. That's at 42%. Everything else is, kind of scattered between inherited home, their spouse or partner owned a home, long-term rental, short-term rental, staying with family, staying with friends, hotel at 1%. What is it? What are these guys like, wags from Billions, just living in the penthouse of the hotel? Probably more of a transition type of thing there. All right, so there's a bunch of other data in there. We've got everything in the hot sheet show notes. So BAMX members know about the hot sheet show notes, where you can just easily take this data, copy and paste it, put it into your communications with your database. We put the real highlights in here for you to be able to do that, so that as you're sending out text messages throughout the day, as you're sending emails throughout the day, cash offers, by the way, 63% of sellers received at least one all cash offer. That might be something when that's a great data point to have at your fingertips inside of BAMX. When a seller says to you, I don't know, I'm worried. Have you ever heard a seller say, I'm worried about, this property financing? Don't worry, right? Going to some Phil Jones scripting. Don't worry. 63% of sellers receive at least one all cash offer. Most of my clients who use my pricing strategy receive at least 2 or more all cash offers, right? Maybe you have a pricing strategy to encourage more competition. By the way, I'll tell you at the end for BAMX members how you can get a cash offer on 100% of your listings. Okay, so you can go into a listing pitch, and this is that big announcement I have, where you have, listen, 63% of the time when I go to the open market, I get a cash offer. But before we even do that, I'm going to guarantee you a couple different cash offers that you can look at. So we're out of the gates with offers. But, who wants to be able to say, as they hit the market, we already have a couple offers on the table? I think every listing agent wants to be able to say that. Contingencies and accepted offers. There's just a ton of data points here that you can use in your conversations. And again, that all the highlights there are broken out for you inside of BAMX. I have a special code for BAMX. Wait till the end of the show because it ties into the announcement with Zoodealio. So if you're not a BAMX member, don't worry. Wait till the end of the show. I'll get that announcement over to you. All right, we have a consumer sentiment report. These are important for us to look at just based on, hey, how people are feeling. I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm hearing from agents from the start of October more than at any point during this election campaign season that they are hearing from consumers and clients and people that they're working with, leads that are saying they're going to wait until after the election. Now, a couple months ago, when some of these data points came out, that there was analysts that believed this is going to be an issue for both buyers and sellers. 60 days ago, I said not an issue right now. As we get closer, will be an issue for sellers. Now we're seeing it on both sides. I think the interest rate increase with the jobs report last week has a little bit more to do with the buy side. I think that's primarily driven by that. But how consumers feel and how we can provide solutions to those pain points is important. Okay. Now, consumers right now are, despite the fact that they're saying, hey, I might wait, or whatever the case may be on this anecdotal evidence, the overwhelming response is that there is a 30-month high on newfound mortgage rate optimism. Okay. Now, this is past 30 days. You ask people this particular week, as that rate has popped, the optimism might have waned. But overall, what's the 30-month trend? The 30-month trend is that we're heading in the right direction. Have we seen some volatility along those 30 months, some bumps where we get a month where it's like not as good? That might be the month of October, if these rates continue to hover over 6.5 and you have an election. Like, we may see the October data, when we fast forward out and look at that, it may move down a little bit, but the overall trend is the consensus is getting better. People are going to be feeling better across 2025 than they did throughout 22, 23, and 24. That's what this is telling me. And so, if you're preparing a sale for spring of 2025, good news is, hey, it's probably the right decision. If you want to attack a spring as a seller to get the most money possible, you're advising a seller to get the most money possible in your market, and they're just like, I think this economy sucks. I think everything sucks. Hey, good news is the consumer sentiment is trending towards a point where we're going to be at the peak over a 4-year period in spring of 2025. That chart shows me that. I mean, that chart makes me feel good about what is to come here as we move forward. Okay, so that sentiment increased 1.8 points in September to 73.9. Again, a 30-month high. Buying conditions right now, 19% say it's a good time to buy. Again, I'm arguing the same thing I argued last month. That number should be higher. If you're buying over the next 12 months, there's not a better time to buy than this winter, when there's fear, when there's uncertainty, when there's distractions. Some of the biggest storms that we've ever faced, happening this week. These are the times to buy. Okay, these distractions, these real life events create, less demand. 6.6% on the 30-year fix creates less demand. Okay, we're going to get to mortgage applications here in a second. So I think if you're buying in the next 12 months, I don't want to be a buyer in the spring when everybody's a buyer and there's a lot more competition and my ability to negotiate is less. I think now is the good time to buy. Okay, now month over month, time to buy is +3. So the consumer sentiment, I think it should be higher, but it is going up. And then selling conditions, good time, 65%. Month over month, that's down, -1. Bad time to sell, 35%. That's up 4%, or that's up year over year. Net change, 4%. Home price outlook, 39% believe it'll go down, 23% believe it will, or 39% believe it'll go up, 23% believe it'll go down. Mortgage rate outlook for consumers, 42% believe it'll go down, while 27% believe the mortgage rates are going to go up. So some uncertainty there for the mortgage rates with consumers. Opportunity to educate them on where things are trending despite the volatility over the last week. You have that data point that consumers don't know really where this rate is going to go. Maybe even more of a case to be a buyer in the winter when you have better ability to negotiate than risking what might happen in the future. Job loss concerns, 77% are not concerned. So still strength there in the way consumers feel about their jobs. Strong job report last week. A lot of the data is pointing towards jobs not being a concern here moving forward. And again, there's a bunch of really great charts inside of this that you should use inside of your communications with your sellers. You know, like charts like this, the average expected percent change over the next 12 months between home price versus rent price. Consumers believe rent prices are going to decelerate more than what home prices are going to go up. Home prices increasing 1.4% on average. That's also far away from the double digits that we've seen. And so home prices stabilizing is a consumer belief. Respondents who say rental prices will go up, 59% believe rental prices will go up, 12% believe will go down. Hey, if somebody's thinking about the buy, sell, where do you think, that's a great question to ask somebody who's thinking about that situation. Should I rent? Should I buy? Where do you think rental prices are going to go? 6 out of 10 consumers right now believe that they're going to go up. If that's a belief on the people that you're competing with for a rental, that they believe prices are going to go up, are they more likely or less likely to maybe overpay for a unit that they really want? That might be an opportunity to really rethink what you have on the buying. Respondents said 68% of the time that they would buy if they were going to move from their current residence. And 31% said that they would rent. So rent moving down, buy staying stable there at 68%. 70% basically of people, 7 out of 10 who would move, say, hey, I would buy if I was going to move. So there's still, there still is pent up demand. That's one of those data points that shows us that there is that demand out there in the market if things stabilize. More on that inside of BAMX. If you want to get some of those charts and access to that, you can jump in there. BAMX has the fastest access to information all in one place for you, the relevant information, news, and data for your communications, for your business. Mortgage application headline is going to be, you had a decrease overall at 5.1% from 1 week earlier. That, of course, doesn't tell the whole story. That 5.1% is largely driven by the refinance index, which decreased 9% from the previous week. Now, refinance is still 159% higher year over year. What we really care about is that purchase index. That did decrease 0.1% from 1 week earlier, but that decrease, look at that ad. That wasn't very pretty. I don't know what that was. The unadjusted purchase index increased 8% higher than the same week a year ago. So I've, mentioned this before, but 2 weeks now in a row of being year over year positive, with a substantial number like 8% on mortgage applications. That's a great data point if that continues, especially a time of year when you do see mortgage applications, typically decrease. Okay, so again, let's be serious here. We're still operating from, levels we haven't seen since like 95 on, mortgage application demand. We saw it a little bit in, got close to this in 12, 15 during the recovery there. But really, we haven't hit this level since 1995, 96. So there's still a lot of room to grow on mortgage applications, but we're heading in the right direction, 8% higher than the same point last year. That's 2 weeks in a row. It's the first time really in 3 years that you can say that you have back-to-back weeks with year-over-year mortgage application data up year over year. So really, encouraging sign there. If it continues, the 10-year treasury continues to tick up right now. Starting the day here, just before 10 a.m. Eastern time at 4.047 on the 10-year. The 30-year fix remain unchanged yesterday from Monday's reading at 6.62. Remember, Friday we ended at 6.53 after that jobs report. So we expect that weekly to pop from 6.12 when that comes out tomorrow or Friday, whenever that comes out here at the end of this week. So 6.62, sharp increase. Why it's important when we get those valleys on the 30-year fixed to really make sure people have access to that information immediately, meaning your clients, so that they don't miss those opportunities to lock in. CME Group is now at an 88% chance of certainty that there will be no Fed cut in November. No Fed cut, according to, 11.8% chance that there will be no Fed cut. 88% chance that there still will be a Fed cut at 25 points. There's no feeling or consensus that there will be a half a point cut from the Fed in this November meeting. So over 10% that there'll be no cut. And then we have, overwhelming feeling right now from CME that there still will be a 25-point cut. All right. Zoodealio and BAMX major announcement. BAMX members, you are getting a huge opportunity and really just a free platform from our partner at Zoodealio. All BAMX members starting today will now have, for absolutely free, because you're a BAMX member, you will get a Zoodealio cash offer platform. So when I mentioned, hey, that, inside of this data, that 63% of sellers receive a cash offer, and some people don't want to go onto the market unless they have a cash offer. You now can come to those listings as a BAMX member and say, yeah, I can get you 2 to 3 to 4 offers right now. I can get you 4 offers before we even go on to the open market. And receiving those offers day one from a source like Zoodealio that you as the agent control. Zoodealio is not open door. Okay. Zoodealio is not trying to, basically become this big iBuyer. Zoodealio is, we work with agents, or BAMX wouldn't have partnered with them, to make sure that you have every opportunity to present to your sellers. Okay. So and you get paid on these opportunities. Every BAMX member is getting this platform to be able to bring more value to your seller, bring more opportunities, bring all the insights. Oh, I'm seeing in my market that there's an iBuyer. I could just sell my house. I don't have to do showings. Yeah, you can do that with me too. I'm giving you every single opportunity. Now, with my platform, it'd be your face on your platform, your branding, as you see up in the top left corner. And you can get a cash offer, a cash plus offer, a list on the market with Zoodealio, a save now, move later opportunity. This is you as the seller being able to say, or as the agent being able to say to your seller, we can now start the process with multiple offers. Buyer agent calls you and says, hey, do you have any offers? We've started already with with offers. Yes, right out of the gates, we had 4 offers. We still have 10 showings that the seller's committed to seeing all of those showings through here the weekend. We'd love to work with you and your clients, and we'd love for you to also present an offer. Okay. So keep your clients open to every opportunity in the market, being able to be the person that provides all of that. Okay. So you get your cash offer website. You also get valuable tools like the real value of these homes, so you can see their real value versus the actual offer. Obviously, you're going to bring them a real value as well. BAMX members getting this platform absolutely free. If you're clients decide they want to do a deal with Zoodealio, guess what? You get your commission, and couldn't be more happy of the mission that Zoodealio is on, to say we're putting agents first. We're giving agents this tool to be able to compete with an iBuyer, compete with so and so, right? Like, how many times have you heard a seller say, so and so said I don't have to go on the market. They're just a local person. They'll buy my house cash. I don't have to do the showings. Hey, I'll get you 4 of those offers right now that you can look through, and I'll give you our get to market approach. So what seller doesn't want more options? Steve says, how do the BAMX members sign into this? You're going to be getting an email today, BAMX members, that gives you all your login credentials and your own platform today, BAMX members. And there's a lot of BAMX members, so give us, I guess, 48 hours. You may, if you don't get your particular, they're literally manually doing this. There's a bunch of people on the back end that are doing this. Maybe you get it tomorrow. It'll be today or tomorrow. I'm going to talk about this again tomorrow. You're going to get your login credentials. As soon as you get your login credentials as a BAMX member, you will be able to put your own branding inside of your dashboard, so that when you share this information with a seller, you're going to be able to, be front facing and control the entire process. You can submit all the information for your seller to collect that offer. You control the process as the trusted advisor for your seller. You can decide which, obviously, properties this is going to be right for and not right for, and all of that. So BAMX members are getting this because Zoodealio is, sees so much value in what we're doing at BAM, what we're doing with BAMX. We want to also give back. So those of you that aren't a BAMX member right now, use code ZOO, ZOO, to get 25% off of your BAMX subscription today, so that you as well can get access to this. Use code ZOO, get 25% off your BAMX subscription today. We'll have that link down below so you can jump in and get access to this incredible tool. And this is the point of BAMX. We started with having the community, having the courses, having the office hours. Then we added BAMX in a box, where you get done for you content every single Friday. Now we're adding great partnerships for absolutely no additional charge, like Zoodealio, right at your access as being a BAMX member. We're going to continue to build up the value inside of BAMX each and every single week, each and every single month. Just for those of you that have been with BAMX from the start, know that's our mission. That's exactly what we do. Reminder, BAMX members, you also get a massive discount on things like BAM Mania. And for anyone who hasn't grabbed your BAM Mania ticket yet, go to bammania.com. BAMX members, if you need assistance with your discounted ticket price, you can email jill@nowbam.com. Just put BAM Mania in the subject line. BAM Mania. We are now just outside of a week away. Next Thursday, we kick off the VIP sessions and the main event on Friday. BAM Mania, Circle Las Vegas, bammania.com to join us there. And by the way, Zoodealio is going to be in the house. CEO �𝐤𝐤 will be in the house at BAM Mania both days. So BAMX members that are going to be there, that have access now to Zoodealio, you want to have a conversation. Hey, what's the best way I can use this? How can, I get the most out of this platform? What other unique opportunities live inside of the platform besides the offers? Because there's a ton of data points that you can use. If you're into data, like I know you are, because you're on the hot sheet, there's a ton of that inside of it. How can I get the most out of it? You'll be able to have those in-person conversations at BAM Mania with Zoodealio. They're going to be there with us. Okay. That's it for today. Hope everybody on the Gulf Coast and throughout Florida, throughout Central Florida for sure, South Florida for sure, all of Florida stays safe. Hopefully you have your plan in place, really thinking about everybody, and hoping that this is somehow going to weaken before it hits. All right. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow on the hot sheet, 9:30 on the east, 6:30 on the west. You know the deal in between. Until then, toodaloo.